Welcome to another mini video on HSL adjustment layers and symbols in Affinity Designer. I start with a circle and turn that into a donut. To make the circle visible, I give it a stroke and place it on a visible layer. The huge advantage of the circle is that even when I turn it into a donut and segment it into a step for my spiral staircase, the center is still the center of the circle. By duplicating it, scaling it, and rotating it slightly, the center still remains the center of the circle. The power duplicate does the rest, and I get a spiral staircase. I take this basic idea and use a more elaborate version. I prepared a symbol for that. I have a segment of a donut as a symbol. You can see the boundary is that of the circle. The segment has some objects already placed inside. I'm using it as a clipping mask for the rails and some shading later. It has the gradient lighter towards the center, and once I place it in the center of the page, scale it down because I want to work from the bottom up. That way the HSL layers can stack the darkness. The lowest ones will be darker. I add the HSL layer and adjust both the saturation shift and the luminosity shift to -5, making it darker and less saturated the further we go down the staircase. I don't want the HSL layer to be assigned to the group but be inside the group, so I'll move it down. Otherwise, when you ungroup, you lose the HSL adjustment layer. We want to keep that and be active after the power duplicate. I create the staircase in reverse, going from the bottom up. Once I ungroup my group with the symbol and the HSL layer, the magic happens. The HSL layer is no longer restricted by the group. Each adjustment layer will now darken and desaturate all the elements below it in the layer stack. I bring back the group with the handrail, turning it visible. They are just simple lines with different stroke thicknesses. To make it more visible, the handrail has a shadow, also just lines with a stroke, and a light edge at the bottom. You can also add a shadow. If you place an outer shadow on the symbol, it will place it on all the symbols in the scene, probably making the computer work a little harder, but it's not really working because now we are adding the shadow on the handrail as well. I should remove the shadow effect. Instead, I played around with the color, giving the stairs a slightly different color, showing you the effect of the desaturation. Before removing the shadow and replacing it with a shadow shape inside the clipping mask, I add a simple rectangle set to black with lowered opacity and a transparent gradient. I place it at the bottom of the symbol and have my staircase with 36 steps and 36 HSL layers for the effect. Let's try something else. I have a ball created with a bevel inside my circle as the boundary. To repeat the same effect, I use the bevel for the light setup, making sure that it is scaling with the object to have a consistent light while I rotate it. I adjust the HSL layer and give it a hue change as well as the saturation and the luminosity. I scale the group down, building up from the bottom again before using the duplicate, scaling up and rotating the shape to get the effect. I have 39 symbols on the screen and my computer is struggling a little bit. I can still change the symbol and fine-tune this caterpillar-like creature. Once I select all the groups and ungroup, the magic happens. I have a nice saturation and darkness shift. Once I add the head, I have a pretty cool looking critter. I had a lot of fun with this one, so I added one more. A dragon with a scaled body. The segment is just a short element, slightly curved inside a circle, again to keep the pivot point stationary when I scale up. For the scales, I used smaller rectangles with a gradient and the corner tool to curve the top end. When you use the corner tool, make sure you bake the elements when you scale, otherwise the corners will not scale accordingly. I start with the smallest element again and duplicate the group. In this case, I already have duplicated the group. I turn them back on. Once I ungroup, the saturation and the darkness will happen. I get the idea of the dragon coming out of the depths. Not quite happy with the look of that one, so let's start over. I think it would look nicer with the shift of the color as well. I'm adding a shift to the hue as well as the saturation. I duplicate the group, scale and rotate. Power duplicate does the rest. Once I ungroup this one, I get a really nice change of the color. I like this one a lot better than the previous desaturated version. I think it's a really cool effect to play with, and I will surely try a few more designs. If you enjoyed this video and learned something new, please subscribe to my channel, click on the notification icon and leave a like, and I will see you again soon.